Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Hope you're all having an awesome day. We are very excited to have you join us for today's session while we dive into the art of delivering proof of concept, or POC, experiences that actually help to move the needle. Today's presenter, we have Mr. Steve Copeland, the founder and CEO of Rhythms. And there is Steve. How you doing today, brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. You know, we're talking about a very important topic, and you're going to walk through some of the practical frameworks that help to pinpoint and document client pain points, craft powerful before and after visuals that resonate, deliver some proof of concepts that speak directly to the buyer. And at the end of the day, this is all to help close deals faster and to build more compelling value stories. And you and I, we chatted quite a bit about this in our preparation. And, you know, it's such a key topic because, you know, I think as you and I spoke about in the past, proof of concept is much different than like a trial.
Right? Yeah. Right. It's very different. So they're two different things. Like a free trial is just, hey, here it is. Let me see how it goes. Right. Not a lot of investment, not a lot of time investment, not a lot of commitment from your client. Whereas a proof of concept is you're trying to do this. And when I wrote this, I really wanted to talk about that difference and kind of go into what those different pieces are. Right. In addition to that, I wanted to go, all right, what is the difference between a free trial or a free network review? You and I have joked about this on multiple different podcasts. The free network review used to drive me crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then now as we have this, it's become, all right, well, how do you do a proof of concept? We're in the middle of doing one for bars right now, right? How do we incorporate digital signage with different pieces that we have? And then how do you do that within the Wi-Fi and different pieces? I got a sticker on a race car because of a proof of concept, right? So those are kind of neat little things of going, all right, well, let's see if it works. And it's kind of the way I used to when I had my MSP. It was the way I used to sell things. I didn't believe in you just try it and we don't have measurable outcomes. And it's the way that we teach our partners at Rhythms how to bring it up there. Proof's in the pudding, right? The concept has to actually work for it to be of value.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you and I were speaking a few days ago in preparing for today's event, you know, I brought up a very old, you know, example of proof of concept of moving clients away from, you know, the good old days of POP3 or IMAP for email to what at that point, and I'm really dating myself, which was ultimately, you know, business productivity on the suite, which is now Microsoft 365. And, you know, in those days, people were used to, you know, if you had any kind of synchronization on your phone, it wasn't live, right? You know, and if somebody was in Outlook and deleted a message, well, it wouldn't be deleted on their phone and vice versa. And then when you gave them a proof of concept and you showed them essentially what this could do for them, it was mind blowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there's one thing of selling something hypothetically and saying, trust me, but then there's the whole area of, let me show you how it works.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest issue is, right? The fundamental of it is, let me just show you, let's work together to make this go. So, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, within that is how do you get, yeah, I can. Sorry. So let me put these down as well. If it's glared a little bit. So, we can sit there and use that to give you a good example of, hey, let's make this all work. Not only is it going to work, let me show you how it works. I brought up some examples. Remember when, now I'm going to date myself.
Right.
Remember when BUDRs were the biggest thing, right? And you had the BUDR piece. People didn't believe in that, right? Like, well, I like my tape, right? Like, I'm going to put it on my dashboard on my car and let it be. So when you came out with this backup device piece, it was like, all right, well, let me show you how easy it is to restore. Let's bring this out and let's get this going. So that piece became very valuable when I was doing it, right? I mean, that was the day of Datto before the Datto of today, right? That was the years gone back and going, all right, let me show you how quickly I can recover an email. Let me show you how quickly I can recover a file. And we would bring it out for 2 weeks and then have measurable outcomes for what that was. My big belief with backups back then was your backups only as good as the last time you tested it, right? So you would just do a full test with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I think, especially when we're talking about something conceptually that is a, more of a complex type of a setup. I mean, there are limitations as far as, proof of concept. I mean, I think in correct me if I'm wrong here, but proof of concept can be actually physically showing them how it works, but it also can be drawing things out, mapping things out, and showing them what that looks like as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you think and we'll go through some of the statistics, but like with rhythms with our partners, if they do a POC, we're closing 85% of those.
Wow. That's
And
huge.
it's because they're talking about it. They're investing into it. If you just give someone a free trial, and give somebody a moment to look at things, they're not invested in the outcome. And we'll talk about this further when we go through this piece, but some of and I'll pause through it. I'm not the PowerPoint guy that's just going to rip through all this different stuff. When we go through this, and we can give it, if anybody wants it, we'll happily give that out to anybody. It really is the concept of I'm investing my time into you. You're investing your time into this. And you get through most of the objections, you get through most of the problems, you get through the onboarding. Onboarding to this day is still the biggest issue that most people have, right? We have it at Rhythms. I'm like, our onboarding process stinks, blah, 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 right? So from that side of it really became, all right, well, how do you change it? And is it different than the way you do pieces? Yeah, you do a discovery beforehand. You want to know what you're getting into. Right. And I've got some examples of what I used before, even used some real world ones when I've got one where I did manufacture for $245,000 a year and how it led to more services, more products, because I took the time to do that. And that discovery and that whole piece becomes much more engaging, much more sticky, if we want to use that word from way back when. How do you engage with your clients? Because at this point, you've got to get in their business and understand them. And if you don't understand what their businesses are going through, you're not going to, I got a client, I got a call this morning from one of our partners who said their internet's down. I told him we can have a box there tomorrow. I'm like, great, let me get it going. He called me back and he goes, I guess the internet's not important because they don't care. And I could not stop laughing about it. I was cracking up. And he goes, I go, that should be your first question. Like, what is it affecting you? And he's like, and kind of walking through it. But those kind of moments, you know who your clients are better. And most MSPs do, but really kind of getting in there and going, this is a new technology. This is coming out. And I've talked about this at different events. I'm on a panel for better strategic relationships with vendors and how you could do that. And I think one of the biggest jokes I say, I'm here to sell my product to you. That's it. But if you want to have a strategy relationship, you got to do these things. And I happen to be on that panel with Microsoft, and it's my old Microsoft rep. And I say, I used to take MDF funds from Microsoft like crazy. Once you get the process down, you could do quarterly, monthly food pieces, lunch and learns. They'll do everything. And he's like, yep, we will, as long as you do their process. We do the same kind of piece, but really kind of having that piece where you follow up instead of going, all right, well, let's put it in. Let's wait for a problem. You know what? Let's get ahead of the problem. Let's talk through it. What can we do to get you into that side of it? Right.
Well,
Which is great for cybersecurity too, by the way. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, of course. And I don't want to underemphasize, but I also don't want to overemphasize the the difference between a trial and a proof of concept. But what I think is very important for us to understand that when we talk about a free trial, essentially what we're just saying is, hey, give it a shot. It's more of a self-serve type thing. Here's 2 weeks. Go ahead and see how it works for you. And we're kind of hands off. Proof of concept is much more of an intimate, one-on-one, working through what are their business outcomes, what are they looking to achieve, and really identifying all aspects of what are the results here that they want to achieve, and laying out what that looks like. And it's a selling tool much more than what a free trial is, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. So when that is a big piece, you get a much more uh, bigger solution for that side of it when you're doing a POC versus a trial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do know that you have a PowerPoint that we're going to share, and there we got it up right now. And
Yep.
so we'll start walking through that aspect of it.
And then please feel free to jump in. I mean, when we're talking through this, let's jump in. And if we've got people in the audience that want to mention something, happily do that.
Yeah, anybody out there, if you do have questions, please throw them out to us.
Okay. So let me go ahead and get right into the meat of it, because that's what I like to do. And we'll have this ready to send out. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about the difference between a proof of concept free trial and what the key difference is. The biggest thing between a free trial in a proof of concept, in my mind, is it's the commitment and customization. You have to know your customer better to do a POC than you do from a free trial. You can get a free trial of any product that's out there, but a POC really gives you the ability to showcase how you can solve problems. It's going to give you a design for a specific solution, and it gives you a value-based metric to put it up against. Does that make sense? So that's really the big key. So you go in, free trial, it's low commitment from either party. They're not committed to making this work. Neither are you. It's generic. It's one size fits all. It's generic features and functionality, limited or no formal documentation. So you've got nothing. And then really within that, it's transactional. It's not partnership oriented. It's not collaborated. If there's a problem with a free trial, people say, oh, it's the free trial. If there's a problem with a POC, you fix the problem. Does that make sense? It's time limited.
100%.
You're here's 2 weeks. And then if anybody out there has the time to plan out for 2 weeks for a free trial, you're amazing. Because every time I do want to have to get it extended. So really,
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we all know whether we are extending a trial to someone or we are, getting a trial from a vendor. I would say that the percentage is very, very high. Probably 99% of the time that someone says, you know what, I got caught up. I've been busy
Yep.
and I have not had time to do this. Can you extend the trial for me? Yup, no problem. I'm going to give you a couple more weeks. 13 days goes by and you reach out to them and they're
Still
like,
haven't
oh
done
my
it.
God, I get one more. I promise this time.
I promise this time. Exactly.
Promise, and so that just is hands off, completely hands off. And, again, it's more of that self-serve model.
Yeah. And it's literally there to, I mean, I don't know how many free trials that I converted to a paid thing so many times where I'm like, oh man, I didn't even want that. And it becomes a knee-jerk reaction almost to a sale where they go, I feel so bad. He extended it 3 times. I got to buy from Dan. Right. So it's like, all right, let me do that. So that's really what the big difference is. But how you do them is key, right? And we talked about this. It's a middle ground in your acquisition journey. It really is this middle piece It can be worked with your current clients. It can be worked with your new clients, but it's really this, they can't walk away, right? With a free trial, you're like, I didn't like it. And you may not know why they didn't like it. You may not know what happened with it. It's a mutual investment, and it creates a psychological buy-in. They're already bought in. We're doing a POC with them. We're integrated with them. We're working together. So it really gives you this trust building. You're building it for a specific challenge. You're not trying to solve something. As one of our partners says, Steve teaches us how to make a new milkshake. He doesn't try to put a straw in our milkshake, right? So we're trying to really kind of get that. And that's really where this comes in. It's a conversion rate. A no commitment trial is a no commitment trial. And you see them everywhere. Try it 14 days, no credit card needed. Well, in order to do it, you have to put your credit card in. No charges. Right. We're not going to charge you. And then next thing you know, you forgot about your free trial and there's $50 in your credit card. You're like, oh man, what was that? I don't know how many AI stuff I had over the last year doing that. Oh, well, let me try this. Right. And it got pretty bad. So
Shadow IT.
Yeah, I'm the worst at it. It's a higher close rate. On average, and I looked these up, it's 68% higher.
Wow.
Our partners are doing, our partners are doing 85 right now. Probably, I think we've lost a couple. One guy didn't do it right, and I had to then teach him again how to do this, right? It increases your deal size. If you get this one, you'll get more. And now you've increased, all right, well, let's do a proof of concept. You've implemented this into your flow that they get now and understand. So the way we work is we do a POC. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that POC again. It really worked, right?
Yep.
And they remain longer. Everybody wants to talk about sticky. It really is. It becomes longer. It becomes a different piece. Here's how you do it.
What it comes down to is, for lack of better way of saying it, it comes across that you give a damn.
Yeah.
You're both investing time, and with the free trial, you can't necessarily, eliminate, anybody that's just wanting to kick the tires and doesn't really care or doesn't have a true interest. Both proof of concept, because you're investing the time, they're investing the time. Essentially, it's not a sure win, shoe win, but it's certainly much more possible to close the deal than the alternative. So huge difference between them.
Yeah, and I noticed I wrote on this. It also reduces implementation friction later. And what that means is they know how you work. You're working together with them. It's a much smoother, easier transition in there than a free trial or like, hey, or when you were stating that, I was thinking, a lot of people always fight on price. I never really had to fight on price because I would do these POC pieces, right? Because we've already proven we're the expert. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
What we're charging. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge $5,000 for a PC, right? But it no longer becomes a discussion of a price comparison. It becomes these guys know what we're doing, and they work with us well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's jump into this next slide. There we go. Two things. There's 5 steps. It's very simple. And then there's 3 checkbacks. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? They don't happen by accident. You don't accidentally fall into a POC. People can accidentally fall into a free trial, right? But you don't accidentally do it. You're going to carefully plan it out. So you do a discovery. This is discovery, whether that's a 1 meeting piece, whether that's I've got to explore all of their tech stack, whatever that is. You're going to get in there and do a discovery and define it. Here's our definition of what this is. Here's our definition for success. Get priority challenges. And then you implement, and then you evaluate it and give them a full solution roadmap. And I think our biggest pieces within those are, I plan out their entire year. I said this on a couple different pieces where I said, hey, I plan out a whole year for my clients, if not 3 years. Is anybody doing a roadmap for their technology? And I had one person and 200 people raise their hand saying they're doing it. And I'm like, why wouldn't you plan out every project so that your QBRs, when you're doing, I hope everybody's doing QBRs, that's a whole other subject. But when you're doing your QBR, you can go back. Are we putting this project in Q1? Are we doing this Q2? Are we doing this Q3? How are we doing this? And that's really the biggest piece, right?
Yep.
What if they don't want to do it? We want to try it before we buy it.
Right.
Well, you just emphasize that POCs are designed to deliver immediate value. So it's not be a full implementation. You frame the POC. If you do a POC fee, you can do a POC fee, by the way. I've done it. We don't have time for an evaluation. Position POCs require minimal client time to the team and handling the implementation details. Then you need approval from leadership.
Yep.
These are really just real ones I've got. And then we just did a one-page executive summary that focused on the business outcome and has nothing to do with the tech. This is the business problem we're going to solve. Let's see. What's the next stage?
Yeah, and I think the whole, we want to try it before we buy it thing. I mean, everybody, there's always the skepticism. And I think there's a difference between a client that you've built a relationship with, and they're going to have much more faith in who you are and what your capabilities are. But I think when you take a look at a prospective client, whether it's a referral or it's a cold lead that came your way, they don't know who you are. And, for someone to, especially if it's a complex project, or maybe there's a sense of urgency because they've got some kind of a project coming up, and, like in your case, and talk about rhythms and, 5G, internet capabilities. And, if they're saying, hey, we've got a huge event coming up next week and we need this, there's a leap of faith there. And, while we all just naturally, no matter what we're looking at, there's always going to be some level of having to have faith in the vendor. If they don't know who you are, walking through that proof of concept model and having that discussion with them is a night and day difference for them.
Yeah. When we first came out with this, I've told you this off to the side, and I think if people have heard me talk about it, my first test case was a small concert called Coldplay.
Just a little band.
Just a little band at the Rose Bowl with bad connectivity everywhere. And I got asked flat out, hey, is this going to work? And I looked over and said, I have no way to test for this. If you could tell me how to test for it, let me know. And we ended up doing it. It worked, but it was a proof of concept. That concept of, hey, we're going to try to see how we do it. Right.
Yeah.
One of the big things, and I wanted to really kind of talk about how I did these, I framed it as a mutual investment. So a lot of POCs you can charge for. If they're big, I would. But when I did it, I really said, okay, this is the cost, or this is zero cost. This is my investment into there. And I put a dollar figure to it every time. So they knew that we were investing in with them. And I cannot stress this enough, define clear objectives. And I'll go into that in a little bit later about, you do not fix the entire problem, but you do want the proof of concept. And then next steps. And Dan, when you and I were talking about this, it was like, hey, if this works, will you buy? If this goes through, if this solves this problem, will you go into this? If we can handle your needs better, will you join our MSP, right? Those different pieces. And those are definitely need to be defined with a POC versus a free trial or even a network review, right? You want to be able to give them what the next steps are.
And we shouldn't be afraid to ask those questions because
No.
they're legitimate questions that, the amount of time and energy and money that's going into putting a POC together, um, I if they're not serious and they're not going to commit to that, I mean, we need to weed them out, because there are other people who will move forward if we can show them that POC.
Yeah.
And and like you said, whether you charge them for the proof of concept or not, I think there's tremendous opportunities where when you have someone that says, yes, this is what we're trying to achieve, and we want to walk through a proof of concept model. They understand that there's cost associated with this, and it will only benefit them. And it's okay to charge for that. Now, I think we have to take that on a case by case basis and determine, you know, is this something, depending on the complexity of it, where we should, put some fees together, or if it's something that's, much more trivial, but they still, want to see what that looks like. Maybe you don't charge for it.
Mhm.
So I think, I think it just depends on the scenario, and you do have that option.
Yeah. And then I agree with that. And it depends. Like if I'm implementing an entire Azure AD stack, I'm charging for
Right.
the POC.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
if we're doing it rolling out antivirus, and if it's better than this one, let me take 10 end users, and let's use this on this. Let's see what their experience is better than that. I'm not charging for that, right?
Yeah, and another, I guess, example that it could go both ways here, but let's say they've got on-prem servers, they've
Mhm.
got a file server, they've got an app server, and they want to move to the cloud. They want to go to a serverless model. I mean, you could, you don't, you're certainly not going to move all of their data over. You're not going to, get everything set up in Entra ID. I mean, you could, but I mean, that's really a full implementation.
Yeah,
But it might be a scenario where you say, you know what, we're going to leverage Teams, and let's take one small little sliver of some of your data. Maybe there's, one particular folder that's in a map drive today. Let's move that to Teams, and, let's see how you guys are able to function from that perspective. And,
absolutely.
I think those are good examples, or that is a good example of a proof of concept that, potentially you could charge for. But, if we're talking about maybe a sliver of data and you just want to walk them through, and that long term, number one, they're going to be committed to it. And also, the entire project is going to be a high value project where the potential of revenue from it, especially being that it's high service dollars, high margin opportunity, then sometimes you spend money to make money.
Absolutely. Now, it's from the POC to partnership, the conversion process. I did this backwards. Everybody
Okay.
focuses on the final proposal. It's not as important. And there's a reason
Gotcha.
for it, because you're already in there. You're already talking with them. You're already closing it because you're defining these needs. Your result presentation is very important. It needs to align your technical aspects with the business outcomes. That's it. Once you've done that, you're good. But the most important part is your mid POC check-ins. You're going to
Okay.
identify new opportunities. You're going to identify any obstacles before they're an obstacle. It's my wonder, doubt, dig piece that I talk about a lot with my team. If I start to wonder if you're doing your job, then I'm going to start to doubt if you are. And
Mm.
if I get past doubt, I'm going to dig. And when I dig, I'm going to find something. Right.
Yeah.
And that translates to clients. It translates to everything. If your client starts to wonder about your bill, they're going to start to doubt your services, and then they're going to dig. And once they get to dig, they're only looking for something to get out. They're only looking for that excuse. So this mid POC check-in and it goes to QBRs and check-ins and these different pieces. That mid POC check-in is very important. And that can be 10, depending on the size of the project. Could be 10, could be 4, it could be 1. How's it going? We have 2 in our 2-week POC check-ins with our clients, and then we work through it with their client, right? Have you checked in with them? Oh, no, I haven't. What the heck are you doing? This is the most important piece of it, because any concerns are going to come out and you'll be able to address them right away, if that makes sense.
Yep.
All right, let's go into the real metrics. You don't want to solve the entire problem. That sounds ridiculous, but you don't.
Yep.
You want to get about 60% of it, right? You want if you're hitting a certain pain point, like I'm just going to use rhythms as an example, and just if you're hitting their internet piece, if the internet doesn't go down, you still want to solve it, but you only want to solve about 60%. You don't want to drop in static IPs and intelligent routing and all these different pieces in your POC. That's too much investment, and then you've just fixed it. And what if they walk away? You're gonna be pissed, right? So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
30% improvement operational efficiency metrics. This is standard piece. So basically you want to improve them about 30% and then show a cost piece of about 15%, right? And then that mid POC, going back into that 85% satisfaction score. People, you should be getting these satisfaction scores back from your clients and working with them. Are you satisfied? Is this working for you? How do we do this? You want baseline measurements before you begin this POC at all, right? We had one POC that went out and the guy used a terabyte of data in a weekend.
Wow.
And I was like, what the heck? And he goes, oh yeah, they did a big event. And I go, POCs are not events. For me, doing a big Wi-Fi event, 5G event is not a POC. That is an event. Very different things.
Right.
But you really want to kind of keep these numbers here. And this is just me going back through what I did and then looking at industry standards. But that 60% improvement, I've always thought was really, really important. I didn't want to solve the entire problem, right? Especially if I'm doing a free POC. What's the point, right?
Right.
All right. So then I took and went into my old stack. Look at that. Actual POCs for your service stack. Backup DR, recovery time performance. We kind of talked about this. Show compliance improvements, right? But that document recovery time performance, and I know that there's vendors out there, and I'm not going to say who, that say they test your backup all the time. If you have not done a full recovery, it's worthless to me, right? So I've always said that our backup is only as good as the last time I tested it. Now, if you have intermittent testing happen all the time, great, but at least once a year, test it yourself. You want to know it works. And that's a POC as well as part of that. Cybersecurity, that is people are saying vulnerability assessment. Let's look at where you're at, but then let's implement this as a POC. If you can do a vulnerability assessment into a POC, now you've gained value. Right? Let's show you where here's where the problems are. Let's focus on these and let's fix it. What you were talking about, exactly. Let's offload some of the team stuff for cloud services. You want to do it non-critical at that point and see where it goes. Then manage desktop, help ticket reduction, measure response time improvements, all your standard SLA stuff, right? Let's go. I only got 2 more slides. I didn't really do a lot.
Yeah, but it's effective. It's good stuff. I mean, I think a couple of those points, that 60%, I think helps because I think it's important that proof of concept is not putting the whole solution in place. I mean, you're not going to eliminate both their servers and put everything into a cloud during a POC. Right. Yeah. And, but you are taking a sliver of the data that, is non-critical, like you indicated, and, you're going to put it out there and you're going to say, okay, are you able to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish? Do you have maybe you have some, old school staff. The newer, the younger generation, they're used to everything being in the cloud.
Mhm.
However, if you have some more senior, more mature, coworkers that, they're
Like us.
used to going into a map drive like us. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I
Where's the
mean, you're
map
used
drive?
yeah, you're used to it on Map Drive, and you're like, well, where the heck's the Map Drive? Well, you just go into Teams and you go under Files. No, that's not the way I want to do it.
That's not way. I
Right?
don't want to use SharePoint. Yeah, and I hear that all the
Yeah,
time. I'm like, come
yeah.
on.
So I mean, it's it's more than at the end of the day, you're just trying to see if what you're trying to sell to them, the picture you've been trying to paint for them, if they can get it, if they can comprehend it, if this is going to allow them to take it to the next level. Because again, especially in those cases that we're going to go serverless,
Mhm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Or in the cases of, a POC with, a rhythms box in their environment, and we're using this as a backup, unplug their Comcast,
Yeah.
their Xfinity, and let's see it fail over and let's show them how that works.
So that's
And
my favorite story, by the way. I've got a good one on that.
yeah,
We did that at work at Nafaka, where we had the box, and we
yeah,
obviously all of the places that we manage have a rhythms box at it. And
right.
the internet went down. Was not planned. Completely
Yep.
went down, and it interrupted one person, the most important person in the company. And he had to relog into his VPN. And I came up and I go, the internet went down, but the box stayed. It was great. And he goes, yeah, it took me like 10 seconds to relog back into my VPN.
Yeah.
And I go,
Yeah.
okay. In his mind, it didn't work. And I went, okay. So then the next day we happened to be on a big meeting, and I texted somebody and had him unplug the internet.
There you
Because
go. Yeah.
it went through, and he goes, I go, oh, you see the internet go down? He goes, no. And I go, the internet went down during it. He goes, why? I go, because we unplugged it. And Jeff started laughing at me, and he goes, because you did that during the middle of a live meeting that was that important. And I go, I figured if it would work, it was going to work. So might as well try it under pressure.
Yeah.
He was dying. He was laughing. He couldn't stop laughing. He's like, that's pretty funny. But yeah, you want to be able to do that and show it.
Yeah. I mean, right now is, if there's any industry that doing a POC of, let's say, rhythms, we're going to use rhythms as an example, right now is taking a look at those that are CPA offices, tax accounting offices. They just 2 days ago got done, and I think probably are still, taking care
Good
of some
point.
loose ends, got done with their taxes. Now is the time, while it's fresh, while they just got off of the whole, holy crap, we've been rushing. We had, some Comcast outages, in the midst of our tax season, and we're pulling our hair out. We have no more hair left. And
or gray.
yeah, or gray. And so going into those offices, bringing in a rhythms box and saying, you know what, I want to show you what happens when we have redundancy. And I want to show you what that looks like. And how much would that give you more confidence to know that, whatever you're billing per hour, let's say your CPA, your CPAs, your high-end CPAs are billing $250, $300 an hour. And let's say you have 10 CPAs in your office. So let's say 300 times 10, that's $3,000 per hour that they're generating in revenue. And if your internet goes down, you're dead in the water. You're losing, $3,000 an hour of billable time. So, Mr. Customer, let's just go ahead and unplug your Comcast while we have in this rhythms backup for you, and show you what would happen. Now is the perfect time because it's fresh, where they can probably relate to this scenario. And the longer you wait to do this POC in their environment, then they're going to forget about that. And so we got to find those opportunities, those little gems.
I think
like
that's really important. Especially, I didn't even think about the accounting side of it, right? But
Yeah.
QuickBooks is not, even if they're using QuickBooks on a server, they're VPN into it. They're not using
Right.
their. Remember back in the day, they'd have their own copy, and you had a copy, and then you had to sync them, and that was a pain. But
Yep.
now everything's QuickBooks Online, Navision. Wow, wow! I just dated myself again. Business Central, excuse me.
Yeah.
All of
Exactly.
those accounting pieces are out there, right? There's also a big piece going on, and we kind of, in the group, we were kind of joking around about it, and I put my funny little email up there, or my little video up there at that point.
Oh yeah.
With
Yeah.
the egg, but
Yep.
there are tariffs, and
Yeah.
manufacturing is getting hit too. How does that work? Like, what does that do?
Right.
We're looking at some different things in supply chain. Really, that supply chain piece, as they're in a lull. Not a lot of purchasing's happening right now. Go back
Right.
into a lot of those groups and go, hey, this is the time that we need to invest to get you ready for this to hit again, right?
Yep.
So that's really important. So implementing, you don't want to start doing a POC for everything in your stack. You will drive yourself crazy. Just get 1 or 2, 3, and go, all right, these are ideal for this, right? Then you want to create templates. Your template is simple. Your POC is going to be the same for 20 different clients. That's the beauty of it, right? You just keep it. As long as you design the one, you can use it multiple different places. And the pain points are going to be very similar. Then everybody on your team needs to know the difference between a POC, a free trial, and understand the outcomes from accounting to every single team member. They should know this. The janitor should know you're doing a POC at this point. And then launch a POC for the POC, right? To a pilot program.
There you go.
And really just, you're going to refine your approach. It's a new way to look at it, but yeah, it's powerful, right? We do things, and I'm going to jump into to my side of it really quick. We do 5G Wi-Fi for MSPs. It's really simple, and I will give you what our proof of concept is. It's free. We send you the hardware. We schedule a deployment to walk through. We provide the shipping to and from. It's unlimited bandwidth. It's unlimited data. I put the box out there. I work with you. Well, our team, it's not just me. My whole team will work with you, and we help you do that proof of concept. It's that easy. Let's put it in play. Whether that's at the racetrack, we did. One driver wanted to be able to see. So I got my sticker on 2 cars. I'm a car guy, so Dan, I got really excited about it. It was pretty neat. So one guy wanted to get the data from his car, right? And how did we do this? And so we worked out that deal. The other guy literally told me, I just need my wife to be able to sell my merchandise at my booth. And if you keep her happy, I don't care. That was it. So we did that. Same tech, no real difference, but understanding how they hit in those 2 different sides of it. And we'll work with you on those. We've done POCs everywhere at this point. We've had a POC that turned into a philanthropic moment for us. Libraries are very important, and especially in disaster areas. And Altadena's library does not have any internet, and we were able to work through that with them, with one of our partners, and make that happen. There was my pitch. After all of that, I did a 2-minute pitch. Right? Are you proud of me, Dan? I'm finally pitching it.
I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you, man. I mean, I think there are so many. There are so many use cases for rhythms. I mean, it's the sky's the limit, and I think we can get extremely creative. In those cases. I mean, of course, if you're out there and you're taking advantage of maybe a chamber golf outing, and out on the golf course, you want to be able to provide internet. That's one thing. I mean, it's just, and actually, you tell me some other use cases that you guys are finding MSPs leveraging and taking advantage of.
I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen. I don't think anybody needs my contact info. If they want it, you can have it, and we can make sure it goes out there. But I'm not going to have my
Yeah.
cell phone personally out there for too long.
2 a.m. calls to Steve.
I have stated, quote unquote, do you not understand the concept of time? So, use cases you nailed out one of them. One of them was I've got a couple good ones where just recently, I mean, we did the big internet golf moment, right, where we broadcast ESPN. That was pretty cool. But the Chamber of Commerce thing, which I just think is great, one of our partners did it as a proof of concept for the Chamber of Commerce, and now they're lighting up the Chamber of Commerce every week, every month, for every event they have. And that's amazing, right? Being able to do those different pieces and think outside the box. I think I've talked to you about this online. I don't know if I'll probably repeat myself, but we came into this not knowing exactly how everybody was going to use our product, right? And stayed open to how people were going to use it and worked with them. And some of these guys, like some of these MSPs, are really bright. Like I was like, wow. Yeah. So one of them was he had a billboard, and he goes, I can't tell you what that billboard does. And he goes, but I can take your box out to every event, give them free Wi-Fi, and I can get 10 leads. And I went, he goes, it's worth it. And he goes, and it's $1,000 cheaper than the billboard. And I'm like, there's proof of concept. That's how that works, right? We do that a lot with when we're working with people. That proof of concept piece is just ingrained in everybody in my team to go out and go, you know what? Let's not worry about it. Let's fix it right now. Let's show you how it works. And we show you how it works, you're going to do better. And the partners that have taken advantage of that, are really good. I've had to do some calls back and go, a proof of concept is not you doing a free event, right? Where you're charging $2,000 for the event and I'm not getting paid anything. That's not a proof of concept. That's not fair to me.
Right.
It's fair to you. It's not fair to me. And we work through it with them. And I think it's become, coming from the MSP side, I know what they need. So it works. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's been for me, and I really wanted to kind of talk about this and kind of not just do into a rhythms is this, right? I think we do enough of that when we're out there, but really that understanding the proof of concept piece to get out to them, to get out to your clients. I think, let me put my vendor hat on. I think redundant internet is an absolute game changer for POCs, for MSPs to go out and get out in front of their clients. This is new. This is something they're looking at. They're all looking at. Everybody is pushing this. T-Mobile, Verizon, everybody. But now you can be able to push. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but here's why, and let me show you why. And then come out and do a proof of concept will lead to more deals, lead to more services, lead to a stickier relationship with your clients. And I think that's when we did this and when we first announced it. If you're certain members of certain groups, and I'll extend this and I'll work with Dan, we give a certain amount of proof of concepts per year. So, like with the ASCII group, they get 6 if they're a member, 6 14-day POCs. So, and we could talk about that, Dan, as far as extending that into the Everything MSP group as well. But but that is something that has been a game changer. I've got guys just come up to me and go, you're going to give me 6 of them. I'm like, yeah, 1 every 2 months. I go, or all 6 at once. However you want to do it. Right? And I think it's powerful for that. And I think as our industry shifts from an MSP side of it, from being the technical experts, which is where we're at, to being the business technology experts, which is where people need to head, is going to be key. And this proof of concept piece is really the biggest issue, and I think a game changer that we've done, as far as, we're only 15 months old now, but when we did it, that was a big piece for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, where that proof of concept can lead. When we talk about, competition out there and the different MSPs, if you really want to differentiate yourself from the competition, focusing on those business outcomes is 100% where it's at. It's not just, hey, we could provide you with, a backup internet option. You're talking about, we're talking about business continuity, sustainability for their business. We're talking about ensuring that, it's a seamless client experience. It's all those outcomes that is what really makes the difference. And that is how you get in front of the decision makers, get them engaged. Because let's face it, decision makers, they look at, hey, it's a conversation with an IT guy. What is this guy? Is this guy going to be talking about stuff that's going to be over my head? Am I going to be deer in headlights? But once you start having the business conversations with them, you gain a level of respect that will be long lasting. And so the next conversation, they're going to be open to having another conversation with you about other areas in their business that you can help them with that business outcome. And at the end of the day, you're still going to be driving more business, but you're doing it in a way that they're going to appreciate, and they're going to love to have that conversation with you. I mean, I have had in my career as an MSP so many conversations, whether it be through a QBR, TBR, whatever you want to call it, where these end up being, sometimes 2 or 3 hour long conversations, because they're asking me questions about their business that's completely unrelated to technology, but I've earned their respect, and they look forward to my advice. They look forward to me being able to offer them assistance. And again, at the end of the day, it's separating, your MSP from any other MSP that's out there.
Yeah.
And in using a proof of concept model is one way that you can connect with them.
Well, and going back and putting on my MSP hat, like we've talked about this offline, right? This led to a whole other business model within the MSP. Right. So, and I've talked about this, and I'm gonna repeat myself, but I was sitting there and they brought me we'd done a proof of concept for some servers and some different pieces. Everything worked out. They jumped on us, and the guy goes, "Do you know anything about CRM?" And I worked at a CRM company, 2000, right? And I was there. I was a project manager for like a year and a half. And he goes, "Can you look at this?" And I go, "Okay." And I came back and I remember going to my business partner and I go, 70% of CRM implementations fail. So if we do 65% and we just project management, we're the best of the worst. And it became this whole side of it, going into ERPs, going into CRMs, and really kind of becoming that strategy person for them. And that was key. So it led to more, because once they get this POC concept, you're really bringing what's called almost an enterprise level way of doing things down into the small and medium-sized network. And they love it. This is so much better for them because it solves their problem. But when I did that, it led to hey, Steve, could you do that POC with this vendor? And it became that vendor management piece that really started to jump off for us. And that attributed to our growth beyond, like it was amazing. So being able to do that and having good, I always believe having good PMs and having good team members are more important than having the best engineer, right? So those people can actually get it going. And I say that to every group of us, Dan, that's engineers, and I'm an engineer. So, but no, a good PM keeps everything on task. So that's another piece of that POC side of it. But yeah, it does lead to much more important solutions, much more better conversations. I mean, you and I have joked around about it. I remember being at Adidas and pulling my arm up, and the guy goes, "Do you have tattoos?" And he's from South Africa. I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Show me." And he literally took my shirt off in the middle of the meeting. My business partner couldn't stop laughing. I was like, I go, "As long as it closes a deal, I don't care." So
That's awesome. Hey, you know what, Steve? We do have a question that just came in. I want to make sure we get answered. Andre is asking, so the POC can be used for both clients and prospects?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would go back if you have a new technology that you're going out into people, right? So then I would use that to bring that new technology piece out. Like, hey, I'd like to come talk to you about this. Let's design this POC. And then new clients, absolutely, right? For your prospect piece, like we do this, and you now have taught them how to onboard to you for everything that you have. And that really, Andre, will become extremely valuable.
Yeah, excellent. And so we're at the top of the hour, and if do you have any parting words for our audience?
No, looking forward to seeing everybody at PAX 8. I'm gonna hang out with you, Dan. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
If you guys are going, giving a little shout out to PAX 8 for them.
Yeah, definitely looking forward
No,
to
I
the
just,
event.
it's changing the way you're doing things is important. And if you're doing things the way everybody else is doing it, you're not going to have the same success. You're only going to get as far as they did. You got to trailblaze a little bit, and that's something that I like to promote with our team. I always say, at this point to everybody on my team, it's okay to fail, just don't fail twice. And if you fail, fail quick and big.
Right? Exactly. Those are good words to live by. I couldn't agree more. Well, Steve, as always, I want to thank you for your time. For all of our audience, thank you for being here as well. We hope that you've learned quite a bit about the POC process and the opportunities that it can provide to your organization. Also, be sure to check out Rhythms. I feel like we should be ending with the Rhythms of the Night song here.
It's my new entrance music.
I can't sing. I shouldn't even start that. But I did throw into we have in the ticker rhythms.com. It is Rhythms with a Z. And check them out there at rhythms.com. Or, of course, if you are on the everythingmsp.com website, you can search for Rhythms. You can reach out to them directly from our site and so on. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. Until next time, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thanks, guys.